Hello everybody, Fantasy Sports Daily back at it, and today I'm going to be talking about my fantasy football team that I drafted not too long ago. I'm not going to be able to make advanced fantasy analysis videos for another couple days, maybe even an entire week, but I figure stick to the simple stuff, so that's what I'm going to be doing today. I'm going to be showing you my fantasy team and what I like about my fantasy team going into week 1. So without further ado, let's begin. Lamar Jackson. I had Lamar Jackson last year, and Lamar Jackson, he was really good in weeks 1, 2, and 3, and then he slowed down. He got less than 20 points in pretty much every single game but 2. So hopefully, and he also had a PCL injury week 13 and on. I was able to get Justin Fields off of waivers, or not waivers, off of he was in free agency. I got Justin Fields, so he was my replacement for Lamar Jackson last year. But I'm really hoping that Lamar, he has a better wide receiver core, and I'm hoping that Lamar doesn't really get injured. He can stay healthy, because he is a quarterback with high upside, and last year was a disappointment. Hopefully this year he's better. Anyhow, let's move on to Chubb. Chubb is one of the best pure runners in the game. He's the RB6, just ranked out of the top 5. And Chubb, I mean, I'm probably not the only one you heard say that Chubb is one of the best pure runners in the game. I drafted Chubb because he's one of the best pure runners in the game, and he probably will get involved in the passing game. I'm projecting that he might get involved in the passing game, and I'm projecting also that he will be a top 5 running back with Eckler, McCaffrey, and Henry. I doubt Jonathan Taylor is going to be a top 5 running back this year because of injuries, and he wants to be traded. And if he gets traded to the Dolphins, they already have a crowded backfield. So, and they have a heavy passing game there in Miami, so I think his value will go down if he gets traded to the Dolphins. He had some interest. And Jonathan Taylor, I just don't think Jonathan Taylor, he's been injured. He's been injured, so I think Chubb is going to make it to, and he's going to be a top 5 running back this year, I think. That's why I drafted Chubb. And then my other running back, you have Rachaad White. Oh, but I forgot. I have to talk about the matchups going into week 1. Lamar is playing Houston. Houston, they need improvement. Their defense needs improvement, so I think Lamar should do really well against Houston. Nick Chubb against Cincinnati, he's averaging 17 points. Cincinnati has an improving defense, so they say Chubb is averaging 15.5 points in week 1. That's the average, I guess. I think he's going to do better because Cincinnati still has work to do with their defense. Then you have Rachaad White against a Minnesota secondary. The only problem with Minnesota is the secondary. I don't know how good or not good that defensive line is, but that secondary is not that great. And Rachaad White, he actually was the better running back out of Leonard Fournette. Between Leonard Fournette and Rachaad White, he was the better running back. And I actually made a video about Rachaad White, about Rachaad White. I said, Rachaad White, why should people draft Rachaad White over James Conner? Well, guess what? I did. It was an experiment. I want to see how James White holds up this year. It's kind of a risk. Drafting Rachaad White, especially in a Bucs defense that might not be that great. So, I mean, James Conner's in an offense that's obviously not that great. So we'll see how things turn out with Rachaad White. If he's able to stay healthy for a lot of the year, will he need to go on the IR? We'll have to see. Wide receiver T. Higgins. Now, T. Higgins, I believe, is going to be a great wide receiver. I don't know if he might be a fringe wide receiver one. You have Ja'Marr Chase, who is the main target, the Joe Burrow's main target. He's the best wide receiver on the team. But other targets that don't go to Ja'Marr Chase will go to, or a lot of it will go to T. Higgins. And I think that T. Higgins' value is nothing to scoff at. And I drafted T. Higgins with confidence. And I'm pretty sure that T. Higgins is going to have a great year this year. And maybe he might be a solid wide receiver one. We'll have to see. With every player, we'll have to see, especially Ayuk. How is Ayuk going to do? He's playing Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh, they have a great defense, but their corners are not really that great. Also, T. Higgins versus Cleveland, I'm expecting him to do pretty well against Cleveland. They have a decent defense, but I'm expecting him to do average, not average. I'm expecting him to do pretty good against Cleveland. Brandon Ayuk, Pittsburgh. The Pittsburgh doesn't have good corners, and Ayuk is a great wide receiver. I don't know what is up, but I guess Kyle Shanahan likes him more than Deebo Samuel. I guess in certain situations, so he's getting targeted more than Deebo Samuel. He's kind of the main target on the team. Have no idea what's up there. But anyhow, Ayuk, he's a wide receiver. He's projected to be a wide receiver 3 going into the 2023 season. I think he's going to be a fringe wide receiver 2, maybe even at best maxes out as a mid-range wide receiver 2. Week 1, Pittsburgh, I think he should do pretty good because the corners are not strong. Then you have Kelce, and the Detroit defense is improving, but it's not quite there. And I have no idea why ESPN is saying that he's going to bust. It makes no sense, or that he's going to bust more, that he's probably not going to boom, that he's really going to bust. It makes absolutely no sense. His bust is under 9.1 points, though, so that's considered a bust, which is good, I guess. It's not great, but 9.1, if 9.1 is a bust, 9.1 and lower, I guess, is a bust. But if 9.1 is considered a bust for Kelce, he's a really good player. I think he's going to do better than 9.1 because the Chiefs' offense is doing it. They don't have the same players on offense this year. They have Sky Moore. Who's their wide receiver one? Sky Moore? Kadarius Toney? I mean, I think Travis Kelce is going to get more targets this year than probably last year. Hopefully he can stay healthy too. But against the Detroit defense, I think he should do really well. I think Dameon Pierce. There's a lot of questions going into the Baltimore Ravens defense because they lost a lot of people last year on defense, but I think they should be pretty good. It might be a tough matchup for Dameon Pierce at the flex option. But what other options do I have? James Cook against the Jets. I wouldn't take that over Dameon Pierce versus Baltimore, so I think I'm sticking with Dameon Pierce as my flex option for Week 1. And Dameon Pierce, I think, is going to be the center of the Texans' offense. I mean, they got Dalton Schultz, and their passing game might improve a little bit, but I think this guy, Dameon Pierce, is going to be the center of the Texans' offense. And now we'll talk about the defense. I'm not too happy about facing Tennessee the first week. Of course, it's a run-heavy defense. Henry's one of the best running backs in the league, and then you have D-Hop, and I'm not too happy about it, but it is what it is, and yeah, it might be a tough matchup. Graham Gano versus Dallas, I think it also might be a tough matchup too, because Dallas is really good. They get a lot of sacks, and hopefully all I'm hoping is that the Giants all year. I mean, especially not only week 1, all year he get into field goal range at least, and get stopped. So Graham Gano can get his fantasy points. That's what I'm hoping. So tough matchups for this week. Maybe Nick Chubb has maybe a little bit of a tougher matchup because maybe the Cincinnati defense did improve. Ayuk might, but the corners are not really that great. T. Higgins might have a little bit of a tough matchup. I'm not sure about Rachaad White. I think he might have a little bit of an easier matchup. You have Kelsey. I think he's gonna have a good matchup. And then you have my bench, which I'm not really projecting anything for week 1. You have James Cook. James Cook, I'm assuming is gonna be. He's not gonna be the bell cow back, but he's gonna be the main running back. He's gonna be the main guy patrolling the backfield in Buffalo. But even they have a pass-heavy offense, so I don't know how much fantasy value he's gonna get. He's projected at 195. I think that he's going to get a little bit more than that, but he's a breakout candidate, but he's not gonna be. He's not gonna be. He's not in a run-heavy offense, and I don't think he's gonna be anything too special. But he is gonna be a good run. He is a good insurance policy to have on your bench, I believe. And then you have Michael Pittman, which you have that problem in Indianapolis with the quarterback situation. We'll see how Anthony Richardson does. I mean, Anthony Richardson has to throw the football to someone, and I'm assuming that it's Pittman. So, and so that's that. And hopefully Pittman does well. I think he was one of the few wide receivers that he did pretty okay last year, but he was one of the few wide receivers that was really available that stuck out to me. That's why I drafted him. Same with Michael Thomas here too. I doubt that Michael Thomas is going to be 2019 Michael Thomas ever again, but my best hopes are that the Saints have like a similar pass offense as the Bengals with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and the Saints have this sort of a similar offense with Chris Olave and Michael Thomas, and hopefully he can get some fantasy points because he was off to a great start and then he missed the rest of the season with a toe injury. So I'm hoping that Michael Thomas does good. He was kind of the only other option that kind of really stuck out with me, so that's why I drafted Michael Thomas. And they have Evan Ingram to replace Travis Kelce. And these three, Michael Thomas, Michael Pittman, and Evan Ingram, maybe even Samaje Perine if Javonte Williams is not getting any, if he's still on a snap count, because I think Njigba is still going to be out. All these guys. I'm watching these guys to see who's going to be my flex in week 5, because week 5, Chubb and Rachaad White both have buys, and I kind of noticed that. So that means that James Cook and Dameon Pierce are going to have to take over for Chubb and Rachaad White in week 5, and then we'll either have Michael Pittman, Ingram, Thomas, or Perine. I doubt Njigba's going to be healthy by then, but if he is, maybe we'll have Njigba in there. Who knows? Hopefully one of these 4 will fill in nicely in my flex, depending on who's doing better. And that's pretty much my. I forgot. Last time I had Elijah Mitchell. When I originally drafted, I accidentally drafted Elijah Mitchell. I dropped Elijah Mitchell because he wasn't going to stick around my team anyhow. I didn't like him as my bench player. He's way too injury prone. Even if he is the backup to Christian McCaffrey, I don't care. He is way too injury prone. He gets injured almost every single season. And I picked up Boyd, and I saw that Njigba was on the free agency list, or he was on waivers at least at the time, and I saw him there. I'm like, what is he doing there? He's like, he had wrist surgery. Like, oh, but he's gonna be back. He's gonna be back like about week 3, week 4 maybe, and then he gets to play the rest of the season. Why did you drop him? Just use an IR spot on him. So I'm like, you know what? I'll do that. I'll pick him up, and if he's out for week 1 or week 2, I'll use an IR spot on him. Pick up someone else from free agency, and the Jigba might be here to stay. If depending how he does, I think he's gonna. The Seattle defense is obviously, I think, loaded this year, especially with Geno Smith. He had an amazing year under center for the Seahawks last year, so I think the Seahawks are loaded, and we'll see how Jackson Smith-Njigba fits in with the Seattle team. I'm excited. It was a mistake to drop him. Don't drop. If someone's going to be injured for a couple weeks, lesson is don't drop him. Kenny Pickett. Just put him on a higher spot. Don't drop him. Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett is going to be my backup for Lamar Jackson. I've heard a lot of good things about Kenny Pickett, that he might break out because it's his second year. He also has the legs, and hopefully he knows how he improves his passing game a bit, because he was kind of struggling, but it was his rookie year, so let's see if the second year is his breakout year. He'll be my replacement for Lamar Jackson when he has his bye, and then Evan Engram as well will be a replacement for Kelsey when he has his bye. So that is the team so far. Like and subscribe for more fantasy content. If you enjoy this video, share this video with your family and friends.